What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the same. And right now, I'm feeling like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Weisz.
Hey, everybody. This is John Corcoran with Dr. Jeremy Weisz, and this episode is a little bit different. This is a live interview that we recorded at the Global Leadership Conference from Entrepreneurs Organization, where some of the best entrepreneurs from around the globe gathered in Washington, D.C. to share ideas and to learn about entrepreneurship. And of course, this episode is brought to you by Rise 25, where we help B2B businesses to give to and to connect to their Dream 100 relationships and partnerships, helping you to run a podcast so that it generates a referral pipeline and ROI.
Yeah, I mean, John, after both of us have been podcasting for over a decade, the number one thing in our life is relationships. And we're always looking at ways to give to our best relationships. And we found no better way to do that over the past decade than to profile the people and companies we admire and shout from the rooftops what they're working on. And this interview is no different. So if you've thought about podcasting, you should go to rise25.com to learn more, or email us at support@rise25.com.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the interview.
Enjoy. Jeremy Weisz here. We're live from EOGLC, brought to you by Rise 25. And tell people a little bit your name and what you do.
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me on. My name is Rahul Wahi, and the company that I run is LLT Group. We are a user experience agency, so we do full stack development in-house, and then we also do UX and UI design work as well.
So tell me about the clients that you serve.
Yeah, so anything from small, medium businesses, essentially, to larger enterprise. We're kind of like a little bit all over the space. It's more about solutions that we're trying to solve for, is really just focusing on humanizing brands through the digital experience and understanding who their customers are and how we can navigate them through to a solution that works for them.
What are the pain points when they come to you like, "Well, we need help"? What are they experiencing?
They're probably going, a lot of them, they're just going through, there's confusion, there's brand confusion, right? So essentially, we try to kind of take a pause and we step back and we say, what's the brand problem? Why did you start this? You started this to solve something that was so much larger. So what is that brand promise? And so you unpeel some of these layers that have built up and scabbed over these pieces, and you kind of start fresh, and you start the healing process through that. And we focus in on their brand promise, we focus in on their why, their purpose. And then essentially what's interesting is that through those conversations, creative happens. Creativity is born, right? So essentially they're not coming to us, they think they might be coming to us and they need to have examples and competitors and all of that, but their experience, their digital experience, is about who they are. It's about bringing that through life, on the web, on their social, the way they talk, the way they communicate, the tone of that, the imagery that they use, all of that kind of wraps up in a full package for what their brand promise should really be.
What do you see the big mistakes companies are making? Because I'm sure they come to you like, we need to redo this, and you've seen probably some very interesting things of, yes, we need to switch this out, and maybe something they've worked a long time on or they've had a long time on the website. So what are some big mistakes?
The mistakes and a lot of that comes from obviously the learning component. And so for us, one of the biggest things that we tell them is, take a step back, and you don't have to essentially come in and do this all at once, right?
Because it's overwhelming. They feel they need to revamp everything.
Absolutely. You maybe have a 1 or 2 person marketing team, on some of these small, medium-sized businesses, and that's not all that they're working on. It might be all that we're working on for them, but this is not all that they're working on. So you have to give this enough attention. I mean, it'd be like, getting up in the morning and just walking out with your pajamas on. I mean, I guess we're doing that virtually anyways now, but in theory, that's what you would be doing. You don't take the time to really consider yourself and give some self-health there. So I think just phase it out. Figure out what does success look like, break the project down in phases, and tackle one thing at a time. Just take your time with it. This is a massive investment. Just like, your health is a massive. This is your company's health. So take the time and do it right. You're not just going to walk into a gym, work out for 2 weeks, and achieve the goal that you're looking to set. So take the time with this. It's a slow rotation. You focus it in on 3 to 5 days, do that workout, do it for a continually long period of time, break it up. You're going to see the results there.
Yeah, I mean, arguably, it's one of the most important things because it's the first impression, and it may be the last if they don't do it right.
Absolutely,
right?
and that's it, right? Who are you speaking to? How are you speaking to them? And a lot of what we're trying to focus on in today's times, especially, is just being empathetic. Bringing through not only just the promise and the tone of the voice, but just also just that empathy that you have as a brand. Listen, you're solving something that hasn't been solved before. You're doing it a different way. Even if it has been solved, you're doing it a different way. And so bring that uniqueness, bring that authenticity out, bring that individuality out. Essentially, those are the things that we want to focus. And the only way you're going to be able to truly invest in that and focus on that is slow down a little bit. Take that pause, take that large, deep breath, and let's do this together.
You have a lot of amazing clients over the years, and I love to highlight exactly what you do through an example. And we were talking a little bit off camera of a really cool client.
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously our focus is in small and mid-market clients. And a lot of the work that we do sometimes on the enterprise level, essentially will be just through relationships or somebody moving directionally, through that kind of vertical alignment. And, my story is a little dated, but it's probably one of my favorite ones. So I started LLT Group about a little over 10 years ago. So I've been doing this for a little bit. And at my past employer, I ended up coming out of that and essentially building out this digital agency and these solutions. So what happened was at that time, completely startup, I started my company on a $780 unemployment check. And, and I knew at the end of the day, this is what I wanted to do. But with that said, I was working out of my parents' basement. So, right there, they kind of gave me their basement. We started bringing people on and just kind of more so kind of freelancers, essentially. Those people have now are tenured employees, which is phenomenal. We just celebrated a couple of them just this past week. But so we get to a point where the company was the Lego Group, right? So everyone knows about them, but basically what we did was the branding and packaging for some of their products. So been doing a great job, over these couple quarters, and they're like, we'd love to come out there and see you guys. And we're like, yeah, sure, absolutely. Get off the phone, sheer panic, right? What do? We're entrepreneurs, we solve problems, right?
Just have them come eat at your parents' house. That's fine.
Yeah. So we go out to the community that we live in and get a shared office space, right? Rent it for the day. I think it was, 10 years ago, it was still like to rent the whole space out. It was like $3,000 for the day, which was a large investment. I mean, this was, we didn't have a ton of companies. I just told you, we just started it 2 quarters ago with $700, and now here we are, putting this large investment in. We deck the place out. We give the lady, the receptionist, we give her an LLT shirt. We have screens. I mean, we look like we own the building at this point. Anyways, so that morning comes, and we're, hanging out there, and, kind of my parents, they're like, hey, good luck, blah, 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 this, that, the other thing. I go to the Regis, and I'm kind of hanging out there, whatever. And my dad and I talk quite a bit, and we're pretty close. And so he's calls me up, and I'm like, I can't pick it up right now. I'm just waiting on them to show up. So, anyways, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes go by. I got like 4 missed calls or whatnot, and finally, I'm like, it's been 30 minutes. Like, what's going on here? Like, where are they at? So finally, my dad left like 3 voicemails too, which is kind of, I was a little, nervous, and I, didn't know what, and anxious. So I call him back, and I'm like, hey, Dad, what's going on? And he says, hey, you've got some people at the house here. And I said, what do you mean? He said, your meeting is at the house. And I said, don't say a word to them. Don't talk to them. What are they doing right now? He's like, oh, we're hanging out in the back. He was painting his pergola, and they're hanging out in the back. I just got some breakfast for them. They wanted some coffee, orange juice, all this stuff. They're waiting for you. And I said, Dad, go inside. Let them be. I will be there in 10 minutes. I get there, and they're like, hey, man, really nice office. Love the outdoor. I said, I'm like, what? How did you guys find this? I said, well, we came to the billing address on the invoices. That's how your customer account is set up. They showed up there. We had a great conversation. My dad hung out with us. He's talking about pergolas and building. And this is like Lego Group. Like, Dad, they don't need to hear your shared experience on your outdoor landscaping projects. Anyways, fast forward that 10 years later, still have the CMO come to our home. He has never been to my office. I have this, really nice office in the area. And today, even to this time, still comes to my home, stays at my home, hangs out with our family, all of that. And essentially, it just realized that, hey, listen, they invested in me. They didn't care about all the bells and whistles. At the end of the day, they invested in me because I cared that much about them. So it was that at the end, it didn't matter that I didn't need this big office and all these great tips and tricks. At the end of the day, what they wanted was authenticity. They wanted that individual person. So that's kind of it. And, we're really excited about the partnership and obviously been growing it ever since then.
I love that. And some entrepreneur told me, big companies are trying to look small and small companies are trying to look big. Yep. And that's amazing. Where can people check you out online? What's the website? Absolutely.
So LLT group, GROUP.com. So LLT-group.com is where they can check us out. You follow us at LLT Group on Instagram, and then we're also on social media and LinkedIn. So
check it out, live from GLC.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sailing right now. I'm feeling like 100 grand.